first video we're going to be reacting to is Nykel Dante, black ass name. Black man and toxic masculinity. And I feel like this is a very good video. This came out to me because we got to talk about, just how the black man, they want to be hard, but they don't want to do the hard work. By the hard work, I mean not always being hard, being vulnerable, but being vulnerable with the right people around you, and also not acting based off your emotion, but also not acting too logically. There has to be a balance. There's always a balance. So, without further ado, let's go ahead and get into this video, man.
Very masculine, bro, but almost toxic masculine. I couldn't really do nothing like that my dad did not agree with. For example, like I said, I was watching Hannah Montana. He didn't watch me watching Disney Channel or Nickelodeon, no shit like that. Let's say I wanted yellow shoes. He told me that men don't wear yellow. I told my mom my favorite color is yellow because I like Tim's. I'm like, mind you, I'm like 5. She like, that's not colors men like. Huh?
My son just fell in the store and hurt himself and he began to cry.
And it's like, but that shit, it's like, okay. It's a lot of the parents. It's because of the parents or lack of parents that introduces a young boy into toxic masculinity. You always feel like you gotta prove yourself. You gotta prove to be a man. If you gotta say in your house, I'm the man of this house, what is that to say? You shouldn't have to say I'm the man of this house. Your actions and how you move in your house dictate and show, and how people respect you, that shows that you're a man of the house.
He said it hurt really bad, and then out of nowhere a man appeared to give his unsolicited advice. At first I was terrified because nobody asked for it. He told my son to toughen up, that he wasn't in pain, and that boys don't cry. What I wanted to do was take that watermelon and until it came out of his mouth. But I didn't do that. I explained to him that a lot of men don't know how to express their emotions now because they were forced to suppress it at a young age.
But also look what your emotions had. Look what your emotions drove your thoughts to. I want to take a watermelon and shove it up his ass. Now, granted, he did give unsolicited advice to her son. But it's like, she didn't do it. But the thought of, I want to commit violence against this man for trying to help my kid out. Even if it wasn't the advice that she wanted, that thought is, it's just, the anger clouded her judgment.
I explained to him that toxic masculinity doesn't make you more of a man, but more so of an ass that everybody hates, but people just kind of tolerate.
I can't hang around no super straight manly man, bro. I'm sorry, don't nobody want to be around that all the time. Like, bro, we not trying to hear that, bro. Like, nigga, I'm not trying to win the straight off, man. Pause after everything. No diddy, no diddy. Grown ass man, by the way. As a man, why would you? As a man, why don't you shut the up? Like, we get it, bro. We get it.
When people talk about black men and toxic masculinity, they often act like it's something we're born with, but it's not. What looks like anger, toughness, or control today comes from history, society, and the way many boys are raised. From slavery to segregation to systemic racism today, black men have been stripped of safety, opportunity, and the freedom to show vulnerability. And unfortunately, that can become the lesson that becomes clear early on. The idea that in order to survive, you have to be hard. I remember being around the father figures in my life and constantly hearing, stop crying, toughen up, man up, or pink is for girls. Now that I'm an adult, I don't resent them because I'm sure they meant well. I'm sure they just wanted me to survive this harsh world, but what they didn't realize is that it will result to me as a gay black man struggling to express my emotions, connect with others, or carry grief without anger. I honestly do think that media plays a huge role too. Growing up, most of the black men I saw on TV or in movies were either angry, aggressive, hypersexual, or emotionally unavailable. And that image gets repeated so much that it starts to feel normal. You don't really see a lot of black men being soft, gentle, nurturing, or openly emotional, at least not in a way that's celebrated. When making this video, I don't want to come off as blaming black men, but I do want to have a conversation about expanding what manhood can look like, so that young black boys, straight or gay, don't grow up believing that they have to shut their emotions just to feel seen as real men. But let's unpack this and talk more about it. What's up, you guys? Welcome back to my YouTube channel. It's your boy Nykel Dante, and I'm back at it again with another video. So as you guys can see by the title today, we're talking about black men and toxic masculinity. Toxic masculinity is a term used to describe cultural expectations of manhood that encourage harmful behaviors and emotional suppression. So throughout this entire video, the 4 major traits that we're going to talk about pertaining to toxic masculinity is emotional suppression, aggression and dominance, stoicism, and heteronormativity. And the reason why I want to talk about these 4 traits is because unfortunately it's damaging the man's mental health, and I feel like it's creating emotional burnout. When it comes to toxic masculinity, I'm not saying that black men own that. I'm pretty sure anybody can experience it. It doesn't matter what gender you are. However, we are going to talk about black men specifically today because first of all, I'm black. Being a black man, honestly, I feel like we had no choice but to choose to live in masculinity. When most of us are brought up, we're told that pink is for girls, blue is for boys. We're told to not cry, to not show emotion. You have a lot of parents that don't want their sons to be gay, so they do everything in their power to make sure they're not gay. So if they even sense that you being feminine, they will clock it immediately. The whole logic now with a lot of people who are not within our community feel like femininity equates to being gay, right? So that's like the whole logic.
And it's crazy because you know how black women, they love gay men, but as soon as they clock their sons doing some, you know, some feminine stuff, you better stop with that gay shit right now. Yeah, you like gay when it suits you, but when it's within the reach of somebody that you love, you care about, you can't be gay.
They love to use, but it's not true. And that's where the misogyny and homophobia comes in, especially when these men grow older and that masculinity, that toxic masculinity is instilled in them. They don't understand the logic of, you know, being able to express your feelings, be vulnerable, not suppressing your emotions. It don't equate to you being gay. But unfortunately, a lot of men feel like if they do that, they can be looked at as simps. And that's weird to me.
Most men.
And this is what I can say too, because I'm becoming more vulnerable. Because I used to hold a lot of stuff in. And I learned that from my dad, and I learned that from my mom. But it comes to a point to where I can't hold all this in because I end up taking it out on myself, break down, or project it on the other people and just lash out. That's not healthy. That's not healthy. And my dad, he's starting to become a little bit more vulnerable time by time, and he's damn near in his 50s. I think he is 50. And he's learning to break those walls down that he built up over the years because ain't nobody gonna hurt me. Ain't nobody gonna hurt me. So naturally, I see my dad doing that. I'm gonna do that until I realize, wait a minute. This is happening to this individual, and these are the side effects of that happening. And also, this is happening to me, and I'm doing this. One and the same, but the outcome is the same, and it doesn't help anything. It worsens you because then you're overstressed. Can't go to nobody. You're always on survival mode. Feel like you backed in a corner. You just get in your own way, and it's like that's not healthy. I need to figure out how to grow through the pain while also finding comfortability and feeling my emotions. But not let my actions be led by my emotions.
Feel like being a man means that they're exempt from being human.
Well, I'm going to tell you something. That's a major problem with us. Because you know why? Our community don't expect for us to be human. It's like we're supposed to be some superhuman species.
Yeah. Superman.
Because that's why we won't show emotion.
You can't always be Superman and not be Clark
I've said it
Kent.
before. What's our default emotion?
Anger.
You're confused, you get angry. You're hurt, you get angry. You get I mean, most of the stuff that's on the negative side of the spectrum, you play it out through anger. That's the one emotion that seems like that's acceptable for us.
Why do you think that is? Why do you think
we're not taught growing up. I hate to say this, and this is gonna sound bad, but you see like the white families, not all of them, but some of them, and you see them, and they're all like, "Oh, it's okay, John boy," you know, dad's talking or mom's talking, and they're like teaching them that it's okay to like have emotions. You know what I'm saying? But we're taught. Like, I had a whooping, you done beat my ass, and you telling me to shut up and stop crying.
Yep.
So now I'm sitting on the sofa like this.
Stop crying if I give you something to cry for.
Trying to hold the cry back. But you just beat my ass and my feelings are hurt.
Before we're any of our genders, y'all, we are human beings. Who are we to sit here and to conform to shit like that? You human. You are allowed to feel stuff. Like, a lot of us feel stuff, and I feel like a lot of men, they want to hone in on that damn masculinity so much. They like, I don't want to be looked at as gay. I don't, so I'm going to do everything in my power to try to make myself look straight as possible. You living in fucking prison. Get the hell out of there, please, for me. That's my whole take when it comes to toxic masculinity and black men. I hate it for y'all, and I want a lot of y'all to get the hell out of that. And it's unfortunate to see gay men deal with this too. Like, not just straight black men deal with this shit, but gay dudes deal with this as well. And we're going to talk about a lot of those things further into the video, right? So throughout my video, y'all know I got to do historical context. It's going to be brief today, though, because I don't know, reading articles on this topic, they wasn't really getting into the history of it. They were just kind of talking about it, which is understandable, being that toxic masculinity, that's not like an old term. That's like a kind of like one of the new terms. And further into the video, we're going to cover a couple of topics that are important to me when it comes to toxic masculinity in the black community. And we're going to react to a couple of videos. So first things first, let's get into the historical context. In America, traditional masculinity has long been tied to control over your labor, your household, your body, and your status in society. For black men, those forms of control were systematically stripped away during slavery. Enslaved men were denied authority over their families and even over themselves. Their physical strength was exploited, but their autonomy was erased. After slavery, the system didn't suddenly restore that power. During Reconstruction and Jim Crow, black male autonomy was still heavily policed. Racial terror, lynchings, and public humiliation were used to reinforce a social hierarchy. In the 20th century, leaders like Malcolm X reframed black masculinity around dignity, self-discipline, and self-determination, a powerful reclamation of identity. But at the same time, broader American culture still defined real men as dominant, stoic, and emotionally contained. Black men were navigating both racial oppression and rigid gender expectations simultaneously. Fast forward to the late 20th century, deindustrialization reduced access to stable jobs that once allowed men to fulfill the provider role. Mass incarceration disproportionately impacted black communities, disrupting family structures and economic mobility. When access to structural power is limited but the expectation of dominance remains, masculinity can become fragile. It can turn reactive. It can become about control in personal spaces when control is denied in public ones. That's where masculinity can become toxic, not because black men are inherently more prone to it, but because unresolved trauma and systemic pressure can distort survival mechanisms into harmful behaviors. That's the brief historical context when it comes to black masculinity. I'm going to leave the article, the link for it, in the description because it was a really great article. Let's get into the conversations that I want to have. And the first conversation I want to have is overly straight men and the whole phrase no homo and no diddy.
That's what I'm saying. All the young boys love me. I put them in position, no diddy. And I get them up there.
Yeah,
whoa, no
I
diddy.
can't wait to get to these wings. Yeah, nigga, I don't know how you just did that. That shit.
I was taking it all in. All right, secondary question. No diddy.
Wait, if you pull that out,
Will you be first on cross up?
I may have to show you the extended version. I've never shown anybody, but I'm gonna hand that gift to you because you can.
This much.
It means a lot, especially this kind of game. Bring the energy from the tip until the end. This is really what I we always have that pace, or we're always praying.
In here, if I get touched,
You come.
I'm coming on that ass.
But what happened when I did?
No diddy, no diddy, no
What
diddy.
did you do, bro?
I'm just playing with you. I had to throw it out there.
And my thing is, when people are saying no pause, no diddy, and shit like that, that just shows that your mind is just immature and you think of everything sexual. You don't listen to the message. You just pick out a certain piece. You're like, oh, pause. I do that sometimes. But it's like, honestly, I do it to be funny. But it's like, doing that all the time, saying no diddy, saying pause all the time, it's not funny. You actually just look retarded and stupid.
Bro, but I'm saying, what did you do? It's cool.
Trump that shit, and plus they were like, he's showing me all the things they're about to do with me and the ways they're about to use me. So I'm like foaming at the mouth. So I'm like, shit, that's no question.
We're gonna come the way they're gonna use you.
I'm so happy I'm not in any spaces where I have to perform traditional masculinity anymore because that shit is so exhausting, bro. Like you lose yourself so much. Like when you're forced into traditional masculinity, you become a hollow shell of what you could be or what you want to be. You know what I'm saying? Because it's like you have to constantly prove yourself over and over and over again at all times of the day, and that just creates anxiety and insecurity. And there's nothing wrong with traditional masculinity. Like, I think that if you want to practice that, that's fine. But the problem is it's forced onto everybody. And the worst part about traditional masculinity is you can never fully attain it, because there's always going to be somebody that's better than you at some sort of aspect of masculinity. And that's why it creates insecurity within people. That's why you see so many men with fragile ass egos. And the standards of being a man are so fickle and so ever-changing, bro, because it's like you can get questioned on the way that you walk, the way that you talk, the way that you dress, and the colors that you wear. And within all these things, the masculinity can either go up or down depending on the decade or the generation. So why would you follow something to the T if it's just going to change? And you're going to have to readjust to it. You might as well just live your own life and do things that you like feel comfortable with doing. And we're seeing a lot of men out there questioning masculinity and patriarchy, and they just don't get it. You know what I'm saying? Because they still got that patriarchy chip in their brain. And they're asking like the good starting questions of, why should I have to be a provider? Why should I have to execute masculinity in this way? But that's as far as they go. You know what I'm saying? They don't question patriarchy and misogyny and try to break down and dismantle these things within themselves and within their community. It just stops at, why do I have to do this? I don't want to do this. And they just want to leave it at that. But you can't live the life that you want to live if you're not able to break down patriarchy, to break down misogyny.
When it comes to overly straight men, I cannot stand them. I can't stand being around them. It's just so exhausting. The toxic masculinity, this shit turns performative after a while. Like, okay, we get it. Like, we get that you're not gay. You ain't got to keep saying no diddy, no this. No, like, we get it. We understand it. We got you. So,
and it's like, this is what I can say, because I can understand why he's saying that. An overly straight man can be compared to a very flamboyant gay. You're trying to prove that you're something when it's like, bro, we don't care that you are. Now I feel like you're trying to force it onto me. I can't fuck with it. And it's like, I can understand why Doechii said I can't stand. It's a ick or it's a red flag if you're a straight male. I hate straight males too. They try to take my bitches. I'm with Doechii. Now, when I was, it was like a one-sided beef, but when I wasn't really listening to Doechii like that, because of that, that was my ego. I can completely admit it. That was my ego. But also, I saw through the bullshit as well, because I already knew that she was doing that shit just to get clicks and views and, do some industry plant shit. But then, I would think about it, and I'm like, bro, I hate straight males too. It's a red flag for me too, because you niggas try to take my bitches. And then you also want to act like bitches. And then try to prove something that you don't really need to prove. But you're projecting onto people because you're insecure as a man yourself. When you are secure in yourself, the way you walk, the way you dress, the way you move, your actions, they speak for you. Not you shouting out to the world, hey, this is me. This is me. I do this. I do this better than you. Why don't you worry about yourself before you start comparing to other people?
the next conversation I want to have with you guys is the resentment towards straight black men.
And then it's like, bruh, it leads people to believe like, hey, you're trying to prove yourself as straight. I'm starting to think that you're not straight. Why are you trying to act hard all the time? Why are you trying to prove something? You don't need to prove something. It's like when people are trying to be funny. You know what that makes you? Not fucking funny. I hate when people try to be funny and they're not funny.
I want to make this video to just, like, earnestly acknowledge that I do have a vendetta against black men.
Let's talk about the video from the young man saying that he'll stop resenting black men when they start loving him. Now, before I continue, two things can be true at once. I needed to say that because I know how y'all hear something y'all don't like and immediately turn off your listening ears. First things first is that toxic masculinity is and will always be the reason that we as black men are not progressing. Mostly because it wasn't designed by us or created for us, which I'll touch on later in the video, but that's not really a point that we can argue, it's the truth. And toxic masculinity in the form of homophobia has literally caused people to be unalived in the black community. Okay, so let's keep that in mind. So what we cannot do is tell that young man how he should feel about his own lived experiences, because that's his trauma. And trauma impacts the way that we think and the way we live.
Yep.
And the sooner that we as black men realize that and stop traumatizing everybody in the black community with our toxic masculinity, the less people will feel this way about us as black men. I also want to say that I respect his honesty, because there are other black people out there who feel this way about black folks, and instead of just being honest, they say things like, oh, I was just smarter than them, or they hated me because I could read, knowing that that's just not true. And what he did was the first step in us trying to heal. Now, on the flip side of that is that toxic masculinity is not something that is specific to the black community or to black men. In fact, it is something that we've adopted over time. So if you've only lived around black people your whole life, you're going to have a disdain for that group of people, because those are the people who hurt you, because those are the people you were around.
Yeah.
But that does not mean...
Well, I'm going to let him finish what he's saying, but also, what type of black people are you around as well? Because those type of black people are very important into the trauma as well. Because I'm sure if he was around more open-minded and loving black men, he wouldn't have said that TikTok. He wouldn't have went on that I don't want to call it a rant, but that rant.
That other race and demographics of people are not upholding white supremacy, toxic masculinity, and homophobia. Now, I'm not going to bore us with all black men are not the same, because that's a dangerous game to play, and we know why people usually say that. However, conversations like this then lead us down a rabbit hole of a bunch of people coming around and saying that they're not a fan of black people either as black people because they never felt like they were black enough. And when we say that, we begin to make things a characteristic of all black people and the entire black community. And if we say that black people are not a monolith, then we know the facts. And while I hear his point about every time that he expresses his grievances, people tell him that he needs to go heal, I do think that therapy and working through that trauma would be helpful for him to grow as a person. Because no matter how you spin it, it is a form of self-hate to hate black men when you, in fact, identify as a black man. Now, those may not be his only two identifiers, because he also identifies as gay, but that's a part of the problem. When we as black men and black people see all black people as black people, we'll start making progress. But ultimately, I empathize with him, because it sounds like he was really traumatized by us black men, and the best way for us as black men to...
Not us. He wasn't traumatized by me. Don't put me with them. I don't know that nigga. He was not traumatized by me, and he was not traumatized by you. I'm not taking accountability for shit that I didn't do. I'm all about accountability. I'm not taking accountability for that.
Start to heal is not to jump down someone's throat for expressing their grievances with us as a community, but instead be called in and start to work on how we show up as black men.
Now, for me, when it comes to resentment,
now this is what I can say about that too. Like, with being like the super straight male, it's like, when it comes to black people, it's like trying to prove to people that you are black. I've had the black experience. You know how I know? Because when I get pulled over by the cops, I'm afraid for my life. Da da da. And then somebody else who's black saying, well, I mean, if I'm pulled over by the cops, I'm not in fear of my life, because the way I move, I don't put myself in stupid situations to where it could go bad. I don't talk back to the cops. I make sure that I have my hands on the steering wheel. I make sure that I use my manners. Yes, sir. Yes, ma'am. No, sir. No, ma'am. And I'm not rude. I'm just being a decent human being, because I understand that they got a family that had to go back home too, just like me. Treat them like people. But for her to say that, oh, you didn't have a black experience then because you're not afraid. It's like, no, I'm just not retarded. I'm just not retarded. I am open-minded. I can understand. I can step into somebody else's point of view, regardless if I've been a cop or not, because I haven't. But I can step in that point of view. Now, is it some bullshit cops? Yes. Just like it's bullshit people. But that doesn't negate the fact that just because I didn't fear for my life if I got pulled over, that I'm not black.
I mean, I don't think I resent straight black men. if anything, if I could say something that irritated me with them, it's the homophobia. That's about it. But I don't think the homophobia hit me so bad to the point where I started to resent them. But I can totally understand where another gay black man could be coming from when it comes to that, because it's like the same way how bullying could affect you for a long time, the same way what homophobia can affect you. And this brings up the topic with J. Cole. Now, J. Cole recently did an album. One of his songs is called Safety. And throughout this song, y'all, he's telling us a story about, you know, his gay friend. He had a gay friend. Once he found out his friend was gay, he distanced himself from him. He didn't want to be his friend anymore. And unfortunately, his friend passed away from AIDS, and now he feels bad about it. I was seeing a lot of gay people react to it on TikTok, and everybody just wasn't receiving it well. And the reason why I wanted to bring this conversation up is because I feel like, whether we want to believe it or not, toxic masculinity also plays a role into that. You feel like, okay, damn, this person gay, so I don't want to be around that, or it's gonna rub off on me. Like, sexuality is not gonna rub off on you, bro. It's not. And I feel like a lot of straight dudes have a hard time with making gay friends because they're so wrapped into homophobia and how they feel like, you know, gay is this and gay is that. Like, we get so much negative connotation from the black community when it comes to being gay, so they don't want to be around it. And when your homeboys see you hanging out with a gay dude, they gonna automatically think you gay, and it's like, it's not the case.
Because of his lifestyle, he's blocking the...
Then also, I don't give a fuck if a motherfucker's gay, straight, yellow, blue, black, pink. As long as you're a decent, good human being who is not judging other people and is minding their own business and is wanting to elevate and align with, you know, with God and be a good human being, I like that. As long as you're not fake, that's cool. My problem is people who are the fake people, who are just insecure with themselves, and they like to point the other finger at other people and project when it's really a them thing. They're inauthentic. I can't stand inauthentic people.
The love that's coming around him. It took J. Cole all of 4 songs before going down a verse that was slightly homophobic and worked to dissect the homophobia within the black straight male community. But it's very interesting because as much as he addressed that there was an issue, he addressed that there was a problem, he didn't go with any follow through. He didn't say, oh wait, maybe there is some homophobia within the black straight male community that we need to address, that there are ways that we can be a little bit better. And I understand that it's just a verse in the song, but even the wording in the song, one, he misgendered the person in the song because he kept saying him, and it's clear that the person he was talking about was like non-binary, trans, something of that sort.
Nah, bro, don't even say that because you don't know that individual. You can't say what they identified as. First of all, they're deceased, they're passed away. But you can't say this clearly that they were this. No, it's not clear because you don't know that individual. And J. Cole is just talking about something from his past, and he's releasing the trauma that healed through what he did, healed through what he felt. So yeah, don't do that because you don't. It's not clear what he was because he never came out and said, "Oh, I identify as this." Never said that.
And the other thing with the song is that that assumption that because of his lifestyle, he's blocking the love around him. I don't understand why certain people within the black community feel like when someone's being happy and living who they are as trans or as queer or whatever, they feel like that queerness is going to rub off on them if they are around them, or they feel like people's perception of them is going to change if they have that queer person around them. And it's very interesting because that's all internal. None of that matters. Just because that you are around a queer person doesn't mean that you are therefore queer or that you like trans people in a sexual way or anything of that nature.
So yeah, y'all, those are only 2 conversations that I had today when it came to this topic. But if y'all feel like y'all want to add more to the conversation, please feel free to leave your comments down below. Now, we are going to use this last segment to react to a couple of videos that I found that were very interesting to me. So let's get into it.
This one has a little sweetness to it. This one has a little sweetness to it. This one has a little sweetness to it. This one has a little sweetness to it. This one has a little sweetness to it. This one has a little sweetness to it. This one has a little sweetness to it.
My legs are currently crossed. Does that mean I'm gay? I like to cross my legs. I'd rather have my legs open. That's a Freudian slip. I'd rather have my legs crossed than open. A lot of you hoes be having your legs open for the wrong niggas. But y'all don't want to have that conversation. Clock everybody's teeth.
This one has a little.
Hey, shout out to Andre from Victorious. Shout out to Andre from Victorious. Yeah, I'm sass to you. Sassity, sass. Oh, now you're tweaking out, bro.
Sweetness to it. This one has a little sweetness to it.
Okay, before we get into this reaction, I think his name is Jay Theo. Jay Theo, I've been watching your content for so long, and you do a really great job of breaking down like your think pieces and everything. So shout outs to you. But before we get into his reaction, I think this is probably where the performer, like the whole the toxic masculinity kind of turns into performative, because if you think about it, a lot of women too that these men date, they look at everything as feminine now. I forgot to mention that in my video.
That's
but
facts.
Yeah, a lot
facts.
of women, you can't do a lot of stuff around them either because they're gonna look at you as gay, unfortunately. So I can totally understand why a man will feel like they have to put on this facade to be masculine all the damn time and not show emotion because they want to impress a woman, or hell.
And the thing is too, it's like, bruh, if I gotta prove myself to you, you're not worth being around me. Because I'm not proving myself to anybody. I used to do that. I used to try to prove shit to people, and it's like, that takes my energy away. Bitch, I ain't gotta prove anything to you. I know my relationship with myself. I know my relationship with my God. Because if you gotta try to prove some shit to people, that means you're really not it. You're acting. And you're overdoing it. It's like, no. And you're also looking for outside validation. Fuck no. I got validation within myself and with my God.
So sometimes dudes want to impress their homeboys. So
man, fuck my
that's that.
homeboy.
But let's continue with the video.
Fuck them.
Ladies, we will never end toxic masculinity if y'all keep reinforcing it. I know this sound is supposed to be a joke, but if you watch majority of the more viral posts from this sound, it's basically saying when a man does something, he's being sweet, and some of y'all are even saying the caption like, is he a homosexual? So you're kind of being homophobic. Like, can y'all let men be human? It's getting, I don't know, I see a lot of posts like this where in all the words, if I hear sassy one more time on a TikTok or in a caption about a dude being sassy, y'all are insinuating some level of homophobia, and y'all are insinuating that he can't do certain things or it makes him seem feminine, which in turn makes him unattractive, which in turn is reinforcing toxic masculinity, because toxic masculinity is just the forcing of everything anti-femininity. And some of y'all will probably say I'm reaching, but I need all of y'all to read this book by Bell Hooks, The Will to Change, Men, Masculine Love. I need every single human being to read this, because it talks about how everybody in society reinforces toxic masculinity and the issues we have with masculinity, and reinforces the way that men are, and reinforces why we have a great culture, why we have violence towards women, things like that, because everybody plays a role. And this is not to demonize women, but I'm just saying this is an example of how women play a role, men also play a role, but how everybody plays a role into the issues we have when it comes to masculinity and femininity in our society. Now, I'm all about a cute TikTok sound and a cute TikTok joke, but let's really, really think about what we're posting, because we are reinforcing certain ideologies.
After watching all, like, not one, but multiple women do this trend, and this trend look like it's old, because this video was years ago, but to see women really be strict when it comes to femininity with dudes and how they can equate that for being gay, so it's crazy. It could be a joke, but it's always some truth into any joke, so yeah, that's that.
I always feel like growing up, men had very surface level relationships, and I felt like this ever since like I was a kid.
And those same surface level conversations that he's talking about, they play a huge role in how masculinity is performed in the black community. And what I mean is, like, if you are a black man and you're unable to communicate through sports or sexualizing women, you're either deemed as gay or your masculinity is challenged in some way. It makes me think about all the male figures I had in my life growing up. Like whether it was my father, uncles, teachers, my barber, like once they realized they could not communicate with me through sports or sexualizing women, it was like there was no real relationship there. Like
I can relate because I have an older brother. He's like in his 30s or whatever. But when he found out I was gay, he didn't necessarily disown me. He still loved me, but it was kind of like a disconnect after that. Like it was a disconnect after that.
And like imagine having a surface level relationship with your own sibling. I couldn't imagine that. If my brother says he was gay, or if my sister said that she was lesbian, I would not give a fuck. Like, all right, you love who you love. I still love you. And I'll teach you about being gay. Don't bring that gay shit over here. And I'll call him a faggot too. But if I knew that it offended them, or if I knew that bothered them, then I would not do that. But I know my siblings. We go back and forth. Like, that's just how it is. But yeah, straining a relationship over a sexual preference is very weird, and that just shows that you have some growing to do.
Like, we just stopped. The relationship just started to fade away because he realized, like, damn, Nykel ain't changing. Like, this is really who he is. Yada yada yada. Like, because even sometimes being around him, I would put on this straight boy act with him all the time because I was trying to impress my older brother. Now that I'm like, I live in my truth now, and I'm out and open about it. Not saying he don't love me or that he don't accept me, but the relationship did shift. I'm not gonna lie.
Any type of possibility of there being.
And then it's sad to say, but it's the reality. The shit with his relationship with his older brother, it won't hit his older brother to change until like a family member dies, which is fucking crazy. Like, it's like you don't want it to come to that, but why does it have to come to a death for you to change? Like, you could just change without that happening. It's just like when you obviously know you need rest, but you're still going, you should much rather want to oblige and say, hey, let me go ahead and rest before God makes you rest. Because if God makes you rest, it's gonna be it's gonna be something to where you literally can't do anything. Like, that's how God works. Or you don't want to rest, and I've given you plenty of time to go ahead and do it. I gave you the ample amount of time to rest. If you choose not to, I'm gonna sit your ass down then.
Even a mentor in that space, it didn't exist because it's like they lacked the ability to communicate with me in any other way. Honestly, it wasn't until college when I realized that there are other men that exist who are just like me. And I'm not saying those men are gay. Like, they were just men who were able to speak past that surface level conversation and to have genuine relationships, have genuine friendships. And I think, like, also I joined a fraternity in college where, like, I met other men who were just normal. Like, they were able to, like, be mentors, be supportive. And all this existed because their brain thought past having a conversation revolving around sports and sexualizing women. I'm not saying that like those conversations disappeared, but there was more to talk about. There was more in our lived experiences to express these things. Like, I have a lot of straight male friends who are great friends with me, but also like when I think about it, these are also men who don't fit that standard of like, you know, super like hyper masculine men who are straight men, but they're probably deemed as gay because they have a huge respect for women, or they're, you know, they're masculine.
It's gay to say that you respect women? That's crazy. I guess I'm a faggot. Like, it's gay to say that you have a super huge respect for women? That's wild, actually.
Identity is questioned because they don't do the typical things or like have the typical conversations that you should have. And what I mean is like there's like this fake rule book that men have to follow. Straight men have to follow. Whether it's like you have to be, you have to like, hate women, you have to sexualize them, you have to talk about sports, you have to be homophobic. And if there's a man who's not doing those things, like specifically like, talk about homophobia, like if there's a man who is comfortable around like gay men, they're questioning him. And it's like, why are you okay with it? You're supposed to hate that person. You're supposed to think like, that person is like not well. And it's like, no, they're a human being.
And it's like with those people who are like, why are you hanging around them because of this? You're supposed to hate them. Bitch, I hate you. How about that? Because of how you, that low level mindset, that low vibrational energy that you pushing. And guess what? you know what? I ain't gonna hate you because you draining my energy. I love you, brother. You just need to change. I'm not gonna be around you. I'm gonna pray for you though.
I can have a conversation with them because it's not. It goes past that surface level conversation. So like, I hope I'm making sense. I'm one to write things down. I'm not really a talker like this. I'm a yapper.
Okay,
yes.
you guys, we have one more video to react to because I'm kind of running out of time. But let's get into it.
I feel like a lot of men, you guys go through a lot of mental health because you guys don't speak up.
Yeah,
you guys
don't speak up.
You guys don't fuck up.
Men in general, I feel like black men specifically don't feel like they have those safe spaces to express themselves. And if I'm in a relationship with you, I want you to feel like I'm your safe space. If you have something going on with you mentally, I want you to feel comfortable enough to tell me because I love you that much where like, this is a judgment-free zone. Like there are no like, this is, you can come as you are, you know?
And this is what I can say to respond to what she's saying. That's all good and everything. But what if you get mad? And then you throw my vulnerability back in my face. See, that's what a lot of men don't want to say. But this a lot of men think. But my thing is, I can see through that. If I'm vulnerable with you, then you throw it back in my face. I can see that. Oh yeah, that's the anger talking. Don't mean I'm dealing with it. I hear what you're saying. I know what it is because that's a problem with you. But you just showed me that there is no access. There's no access. You want me to be a safe space, but then when you're feeling backed in a corner, which is really not, you're not being backed in a corner, I'm putting accountability on you, then you're gonna throw some shit back in my face just because you're mad. I see that you have a lot of growing to do. It's okay. You can admit it. But guess what? As soon as that happens, the man switches up. Bitch, you gonna do that? Bet. I ain't telling you else. I ain't telling you shit else. Matter of fact, I might go fuck a couple bitches because I'm mad at you because you want to do that. I feel like if that were to happen, that is when the cheating is gonna start. Not gonna lie.
A lot of men have been judged, so like they don't want to come out and speak because they feel like you're gonna belittle them.
You're gonna call them a bitch, or you're gonna bring us some bullshit.
Less
We don't talk about the internalized misogyny a lot of black women have, but when men do open up, it's, oh, you a bitch. Oh, you acting like a pussy. Oh, you want to be a female. But it's like,
that shouldn't be the norm, though. Like, a man that you love and you're in a relationship with should be able to come to you and tell you how they're feeling, what they're going through. Whether you have a solution or not, someone should be able to.
That's the problem. That's what I wanted to talk about. A lot of women don't have that mindset. Also, a lot of women are not fully tapped into their feminine energy. A lot of women, with my experience, even just where I'm from, there's a reason. If you look at where we come from, I'm from Canarsie. There's a culture there. The boys and the men in that community act a certain type of way because women flock at that type of energy. Then men come and mimic and imitate that. I always tell I'm like, yo, a lot of reasons in prison is because girls created this idea from when we was younger. Everybody wanted the gangster. The hood.
I feel like both parties make great sense. But this goes back to the performative masculinity that I talk about. Like they mentioned, like, you know, women, they like hood dudes. Not all of y'all, but some of y'all do. So that kind of feeds into that narrative like, damn, being that they like that, let me try to act like this more. Let me try to be more this. And it's just like, no. But yeah, I love you guys, and I will see you in my next video. Bye.
Man, shout out to my nigga Doc Quill, man. Well, I guess we'll play that after.
This episode.
Shout out to my nigga Doc Quill. That was a dope video, man. I've said everything I need to say about that. So...